All right, everyone. Welcome once again. It's Friday. It's the Manufacturing E-commerce Success Show. I'm your co-host, Damon Pistolka, and I am happy to be here today with our other co-host, Kurt Anderson. Take it over.
Dude. Hey, man. Hey, how about this handsome guy over here? So Damon Pistolka. So exit your way in Seattle, Washington. So Damon, happy Friday, my friend. Happy Friday, everybody out there.
Yep.
Welcome to Manufacturing E-commerce Success. Damon, we have this little tagline, this little goofy saying, stop being the best kept secret. Well, guess what, dude? We brought on like the doctor of stop being the best kept secret.
Yes.
This person over here, we have Sharon in the house. Sharon, happy Friday, my friend. How are you?
Happy Friday, Kirk. Happy Friday, Damien. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
This is so awesome. I tell you, like, I'm just giddy right now. I am so excited. I've been looking forward to this for ages. Dan Bigger's in the house. He's saying, he's having technical difficulties. Guys, drop a note. Let us know that you're with us. Drop Sharon a big hello. You guys want to connect with Sharon. She's an absolute rock star. She's the CEO of NetStruct PR. A wonderful PR firm. You are a media strategist, Sharon. So just what is a media strategist? Just give a little background, and then we're going to take a deep dive into all about you today.
So when people talk about a media strategist, a publicity strategist, you think about, how is it that you could position somebody to build out their brand exposure through media techniques. And I say techniques because it's not only just interviews, it's also this platform, which you have here, which is online, social media. It's also talking about you getting out to other platforms, networking, speaking engagements. So those are the things of what a strategist does. You look at different techniques and then you implement it so that person can maximize on their brand exposure.
Oh, this is so good. Awesome. So Sharon, we were just talking before we went live. You and I connected at a virtual, hands down, the best virtual party I've ever been to. It was a holiday party back during COVID. And so you and I connected, that was a good, we'll talk about that.
It was great.
That was a great party. So I've been a huge fan following you for a long time. You absolutely want to sign up for her newsletter. Now, Sharon, when folks take a look at your LinkedIn profile, so Damon and I, we do LinkedIn trainings for folks. I found a new profile that I'm going to be featuring during our LinkedIn training, yours. If you go to your about section, you have an absolute incredible about section on your LinkedIn profile. So I have a question for you.
Right.
When you were a little girl growing up, who was your hero?
I'll be honest with you. It was my parents.
Man, dude, I tell you, you have one of the most amazing heartfelt about sections, Damon. You have to read it. So Sharon, let's go there. Please talk about your folks. Why were they your heroes growing up? And please enlighten everybody on what's going on when you were a little girl growing up.
So my parents actually migrated to the United States. They're from South America, Guyana. And they migrated here when they were in their late teens. So they were 19, 20, and they only knew my uncle who was here and a cousin. Wow. And as my parents grew, they got married at 21. Yep. And they literally built a family. I have two other brothers. I have a younger brother and I have an older brother. So I'm the middle child. I'm the only girl. And I just saw my parents instill in us, respect, instill in us that you can do anything that you want, regardless of what your situation is. You can do anything that you want. And my parents put faith first. So they were like, anything that you do, you have to make sure that you have that strong faith, and you will get what is coming to you. So as I'm growing up, both my parents work for the city of New York, and I'm in New York. So hello to any New Yorkers. They both work for the city of New York. They both were in management positions. Again, you're talking about somebody who migrated from South America, and they did not have, they finished high school in Guyana. They came here, got their degree here in the United States in New York, and they just pushed and pushed. And I saw their hustle. Didn't really understand it until I got older and I saw the hustle and I appreciated it. Yeah. But I saw the hustle. I saw the seriousness. I saw what they instilled, and they kept the family together. And that's what I started doing for myself and with my family. I said to myself, I don't want to just settle for working for someone. And if I am working for someone, I want it to be in a management position. And so I worked toward that. And that was the mentality that I always had. My confidence level, as you guys can see, I have a top-notch confidence level. I was having a conversation with my husband earlier today, and he says, you know, you're very assertive. And I was like, well, you married me, so you knew what you were getting into. So I'm sorry if you are now 27 years late, 27 plus years later.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you're taking offense to it, but
Yeah.
my assertiveness comes off in terms of confidence. And if I'm talking to you, that means I believe in you. So if my assertiveness comes off kind of like, oh my God, you know, like it's because what I see in you, you don't see in yourself. Yeah. And that's how my parents instilled in us as well.
That's awesome.
That is so powerful.
That's awesome.
So again, guys, you have to connect with Sharon, and I love that. And you have right on there, you have 3 handsome sons and married for 27 years, and just that, what an inspiring story. So thank you for sharing that. I absolutely love that. So now my next question for you, Sharon. Okay. Somebody goes to college, just to say, I'm going to put out a hypothetical. Okay. I'm asking for a friend. If they go to John Jay College for criminal justice, how does that translate into becoming like a PR powerhouse like yourself? Can you please walk us through that criminal justice journey to being a PR powerhouse?
So obviously that's not what I was looking at when I decided to go to John Jay. So real story, I initially did not want to start out in law enforcement. I wanted to be a pediatrician. But the one thing when you go into medicine that you have to have a stomach to see blood. I don't have that. So that would have been a criteria that would have literally bounced, took me off the table for me to go into medicine. So I looked to something else. Now, my mom was a manager. She was a supervisor in the prosecutor's office in Brooklyn, New York. And, I would go to her job. I would see what she would do. She was in the courts. She was doing all these things. So that was fascinating to me. So I wanted to be a lawyer. So I went to John Jay College of Criminal Justice. I did my internship at the prosecutor's office. I was just living my life. I was doing events at the college. I was, part of organizations. I was doing everything. And, long story short, I got my bachelor's in criminal justice. I got a job at the DA's office, and I'm moving on and I'm moving on. And then I got promoted to management. So I was actually managing the community relations, public relations department for the borough. So I was like, oh, you know what? Let me go back to John Jay, get my master's in public administration because they fit in. I'm still dealing with with criminal justice, still got the background in law enforcement, but I wanted the degree to match. And I did that, and I'm working, and I'm on cloud 9 at this point. I'm helping the community. I'm working with the police. I'm helping people that really just did not know about the programs. Because at that time, that DA, Joe Hines, he had some great programs for people who just made mistakes. And he understood second chances, third chances, because people just, sometimes people just make mistakes. And it wasn't on. So again, what made me decide to go into PR was because I was doing it already, working for the city of New York. And it was just a different industry. And when I got laid off, it was, oh shoot, what am I going to do? And it wasn't that I was going to go look for another job, because honestly, I did. And the position I had, the answer was, I don't know if I can afford you. So if I keep getting that answer, I don't know if I can afford you, but I want to pick your brain. I was like, I need to do something that is going to make me say to myself that I'm actually going to get what I'm worth, paid what I'm worth. So I decided to start my own PR firm. And that led me to understand that small businesses don't really have the capacity of what large city agencies have, what their large competitors have, to really understand the power of media and the power of strategy to get their brand exposure. So that's why I decided to go into PR, because 1, I love it. 2, as you can see, I love to talk. And so if I'm talking too much, you guys got to tell me, like, okay, Sharon, slow down.
This is perfect.
But that was the reason why I went into that, because when I got laid off, my husband has his own IT company, and I tried to market that, and I did it. you know, because at the end of the day, when you get laid off and no one is hiring you, you got to learn how to bring in that income. So I was getting the clients, but I'm not an IT person. Like my husband sets up my whole computer stuff, you know, because he's IT. So I'm not that person. And I hated it. I hated it so much, but I brought the clients in. My husband would have his team remote in. I'm sitting at our client's office, just watching them remote on the computer. And I'm talking with the client like, hey, like, do you have any events that you want to promote? I'm literally doing what I saw, what I was pegged out to do. And one day, one of our clients wanted to do a grand opening for his new location. And I did the whole entire thing for free because he was already our IT client. Yeah. And when my husband saw what I did, he said, you are not doing IT anymore. You are doing whatever this is. I don't know. He didn't know what it was. He said, you are doing this. And that was the official launch of Netstruck PR. Because he was like, no, we're not doing this anymore. He said, look at what you just did. Like I had officials, I had media, the ribbon cutting, I had everything. And that was the stop of me for promoting IT and the start of public relations.
Man, there's just so much to unpack right there. You know, we have a ton to cover, and I can't move forward just now. Okay. So much unpack right there, Sharon. So, all right, grew up mom and dad, heroes. And if I'm not mistaken, in your about section, you talk about dad, side hustle, entrepreneur, you know, gosh, you have a great story. Trying to understand, you know, and it finally clicked like, oh, now I understand what dad's doing. Working during the day, entrepreneurship at night. Laid off at 2013, you know, and again, this might be naive on my part. When you go into criminal justice, you know, you kind of think, you know, my wife's a school teacher, you know, hey, kind of, you know, civil servant, you know, stable, not going to get laid off. Just think if you don't get laid off, you know, would you have ever taken that leap of faith to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to pursue this career that I've dedicated. I went to college, master's. I'm doing great at it. If you didn't get laid off, my question with that diatribe is let's take one step further. At 2013, what did that feel like on that layoff? Scary, relieved? Were you happy? And then when you decided to take that plunge into entrepreneurship, for anybody out here in the crowd here today, that's, you know, like, gee, I'd like to take that plunge. Walk us through that emotional, you know, was it a roller coaster? Was it scary? What were you feeling right then?
Yeah.
So you got to understand, when I kind of saw the writing on the wall. So even when I was working, I was making six figures. I'm the executive director for this department in the DA's office. I had a side hustle. Now, working for the city of New York, you cannot technically have a business unless you disclose it, because it has to be if it's a conflict of interest or anything to that extent.
Yep.
So with me, I was like, well, how am I going to figure this out? Although I'm making good money, I still wanted to have my own side hustle. Again, my dad did it. So what I did was, I was a network marketing company. I decided to build my business outside of New York. There's no conflict of interest whatsoever. I was doing it after hours. I was doing it weekends. I was hitting the West Coast, because, you know, it's 3 hours, ahead of us. So I was figuring out different things and how I was going to build my own side hustle to bring my own income in. So when 2013 came, it was an election. So I worked for elected official.
Oh,
It was a nasty election. Nasty. It was one of the worst elections I have ever, and I worked in a couple. It was one of the worst elections. And we saw the writing on the wall. Me and my team, we saw the writing on the wall. And I kid you not, it was 2 weeks before Christmas in 2013, I got the notification that my services will no longer be needed. And come December 31st, I had to have office. So you're talking about 18 years in that organization. I had to have, in 2 weeks, I had to have my office cleaned out.
Wow.
So I said, it was kind of mixed, you know, because at first I was like, I'm not working for this man that I've worked for my entire career, who was a great person to me and to many people. His programs were amazing. And people just couldn't understand why I was let go. And they would just be like, you know what? You know the community. You know exactly what this new administration is going to need in the community. But I was like, they didn't see it that way. So I had to kind of have a different mindset change in terms of that I'm indispensable. And once I had that in my head, I said, okay, you got to move forward now. So that last day was bittersweet because I've just made so many friends, so many, so many people that I've helped change their lives in that capacity. The one thing in my mind was, will I ever be able to do that again? And that was something that was messing with me each time. Like, will I ever be able to put a smile on a mother's face whose son made a mistake and we put him in a program and now he's doing excellent, has a family and things like that? Yeah. Would I ever have an opportunity to help families out like that? Would I ever have an opportunity to bring assistant DAs out to talk about criminal justice things for seniors to watch out to make sure that they're not victims? Would I ever have that opportunity? And that was what was messing with me. And it wasn't until when I, and again, I had great connections. So I still kind of kept my toe in the, in the areas of where my connections were just to stay involved. But I wasn't in that position to make those decisions. So it wasn't, so when I got my job, got my business, I decided to deal with small businesses and do community-based things that I would be able to tap into the DA's office, the other organizations, because if you don't know about it, then you're not going to be able to utilize the services. So I still was able to put myself in a position where I may not be able to make the decision, but I could connect you to somebody who can. So that was the void that I was filling with this position. So I still, because of my criminal justice background, I always stuck with my law enforcement family. I always stuck with other organizations. And I tell people, don't think if your background is a particular industry, don't think that you can't go outside of and be a consultant within that background. Don't think you can't be a coach within that background or open up your own business within that background, because you're even more marketable than someone who does not have that background. And that's what I talk to people about. Like, don't negate the fact that you have that background. Don't think that you can't use it anymore. Put it in a position where, because you have it, you have the experience, you're much more marketable and people will want to deal with you more because you have that knowledge.
Oh my gosh, this is so good. So, hey, I want to give a shout out. We have friends in the chat box. So again, guys, let us know that you're out there. Drop Sharon a hello. Please connect with Sharon on LinkedIn. Dan and John Baglino from Uptessa are here today. Our good buddy Mike is in the house today. We've got Sharon. So guys, thank you again. Drop Sharon a note here. Sharon, let's dig into your superpowers, your expertise in PR. Okay. So you are a powerhouse here. Now, before we dig in, you have a free webinar coming up, and I want to talk about that. So on June 8th at 7:00 Eastern time, if I'm not mistaken. So let's talk about that webinar, and then I want to slide right in how you execute, how you work with your clients. How do you help them stop being that best kept secret? So tell us a little bit about this free webinar that's coming up.
So I decided to do this free webinar actually during the pandemic. Everything shut down. I'm a face-to-face person. I'm a hugger. I want to see people face-to-face. So I picked up a coach, and because I was like, this is all new to me, I don't know what I'm doing. And she was like, Sharon, with the knowledge and information that you have, set up these webinars. And so I was like, okay, fine, set up the webinar. What I realized was the reason why I set these up is because so many businesses, so many entrepreneurs, as I mentioned before, do not know how to position themselves to be newsworthy. And everybody, if you are not your own cheerleader for your business, something is wrong. So I get it. You got to be like, listen, I'm the best business out here. However, you may think that, but does that journalist think that way? So what I do is, and what people will learn in this webinar and all my webinars is how to identify yourself to be newsworthy. What actually is newsworthy? And how really to understand how to tell your story, because it's all about storytelling. It's not selling your business. It's not telling how much of a discount you can get. It is that storyline so people can be related to you. And that's what I'll be talking about with individuals who join this webinar, to show them that this is what the media looks for. It's not about you. It's about their audience. And sometimes you have to get off that ego trip and you have to step back, because we don't usually see that until a second or third party shows it to you. So that's what I want entrepreneurs to really see, is that I have a great product. Of course, I got a great product or service. However, how can I position it that a journalist will see this, hear me, see this, and want to interview me, because that is what their audience can relate to. So that's what they're going to get out of that. And then they're going to get some tips. They're also going to get some of my little secret tips and what I use for, connecting with the media. And, I always tell people, patience is a virtue. Yeah. If you are not patient when you are dealing with the media, then you might as well don't even start. Don't even pitch it. Because I worked with someone for an entire year, and contract was over. And the following year, the main media outlet that they wanted contacted me and said, hey, remember that person that you pitched to us a year ago? Well, we want to interview them now. Yeah. And it was patience. It was literally just being patient.
Yeah, that's awesome. So again, guys, you're getting a sliver today of some incredible opportunity. Damon, we got some comments.
Well, it is. I mean, you said one thing that really we need to know as business people trying to connect with the media. They make their money. They stay in business. Their thing is connecting with their audience. It's not about our business. It's about, something that interests their audience enough to read, listen, whatever you're trying to do. And you're helping people translate, I do this into my story is this, and this is interesting, and why people should do it. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. Because if you don't, here's the thing. Again, if you're not your biggest cheerleader, something is wrong. So we take that excitement of you saying, this is what I do, and I enjoy it. This is my passion. And now we transition that into, okay, who is your listening audience? Who is your particular audience? Now let's identify a media or a journalist that actually has that audience. And now we have to think like that journalist. Yeah. How does that journalist think? Okay, you know what? It's not about this, but it's this. It's looking at different angles. And that's what we talk about when I work with businesses.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I love this. And so all right, I'm going to slide right into. So again, you guys, you're just getting a sliver of Sharon's expertise, her passion, her energy. This is just so. Man, this is awesome. So let's slide in. So we speak to, I was going to say we sing. We don't sing, but we did sing to Damon for his birthday.
We could sing though.
We sang last Friday. Do you remember?
You don't want to hear me sing, gentlemen, so let's not even go there.
We won't sing.
I have a gift. Singing is not one of them.
We won't sing. So, all right, let's slide into, part of the webinar. So we preach to manufacturers. So there's all sorts of opportunities. So a manufacturer might be out there saying, hey, what's PR for me? There's bloggers. We might talk about press releases today. You can get on podcasts. You can get on LinkedIn Lives. You can get on Damon's Face as a Business. So it's not just major media, but I absolutely love the direction that you're going here. Statement that probably my biggest takeaway today is going to be, you've got to be your biggest cheerleader. Nobody's going to be cheering for you. That is so powerful. And so many of our manufacturers, they're introverts. They're a little, they're humble, modest, God bless them. And it's taking them out of their comfort zone. Yeah. Slide into, Sharon, I don't know if you've seen over, 9 years now, right, that you've been rocking it for your clients. Do you see a common challenge, a common resistance, a common hurdle, or are they all over the place? Like, what are some common challenges that you help your clients overcome to get into that PR game?
So the main common one is understanding their messaging.
Okay. Yep.
So when we sit down, we do this assessment, and I tell them, I was like, tell me what your unique items are. I call them red apples. You're in a barrel with green apples. What is your red apples?
Yep.
What stands out? And then they run down, I was, a single child. I was a, only child. And, I was instilled with great, with this great, attitude that, I should just go forward. And okay, that's great. People love that. That's great. I said, but that's not news. That's not newsworthy. What is newsworthy? And I talk about this one particular client, and I know he won't mind me mentioning his story, but he's a retired homicide detective. And, he had that type in him that he wanted to help young people. So every time he went on a scene, he saw, you know, it was he was homicide. So it was always someone that was that had passed away. And he saw, it was one particular day that it was, you know, a gang rival. One of the kids was on the ground and he saw one of his, you know, friends, and the guy was just standing there and they're questioning him. And the guy was like, you know, and you know, he felt like there was a connection, but he couldn't do it because of the position that he was in. So when he retired, he decided to set up his own consulting and own program for young people to change their mindset from that type of lifestyle, that they can actually do great things. So when we started, he told me, though, you know, this is what I was doing and this and that and whatever. And I was like, and when he told me that story, I said, that's part of your messaging. I said, because people will relate, people will think and say, I need to utilize your services because you have that passion in you to help this young person out because you saw it. And then the next time he went to the homicide, went to another homicide, it was that same kid that he was talking to that was on the ground. So he was, you know, and that stuck with him. And I told him, I said, listen, that is something that stuck with you. It would stick with other people. And that's what drove you to become this consultant, to become this coach for young people, to go out there and change their mindsets, that they don't have to live this gang life. They actually can change their life. And he wasn't in that position to put them in different places. Now he is. And he has the connections with law enforcement that if a cop does come to him and say, you know what, there's this kid that I saw that I think he can deal with your services, he's able to jump right in. So it's the messaging that's misconstrued that I actually have them pull out to be relatable for people to actually see. So that's always the first thing that I see with every single client, every single person that I deal with. We always have that messaging dilemma because your messaging is off. And once you bring your messaging on point where it's for your target audience and it's for the media platforms and it's for speaking engagements, you know, the individuals, if you want to be a speaker, you know, those are all platforms that we work out and your message always stays the same. The story can change, but the message always stays the same. So that's the main challenge of what I work with everyone. And once we get that under control, everything else starts moving along on a plateau.
Man, moment. Man, like let's just, all right, guys, it's like if it's lunchtime where you're at, let's just take a moment and just savor.
Yes.
I could listen to you all day, Sharon. That was so, you are such a captivating speaker. I'm stumbling, like just, you know, all right, so let's keep moving forward. Okay. Big takeaways today. Be your biggest cheerleader. Another, you know, I love, gosh, guys, please do me a favor. I just dropped my pen. Do me a favor. Hit the rewind button and just listen to what Sharon just said. One word, relatable. Right? Gosh, I love that. And so manufacturers, you know, it's a little challenging. So, you know, say if you're in the people services business, you know, that story might be a little, I won't say easier, but boy, when you're selling parts, machinery, equipment, whatever, doesn't matter though. You can, you know, what's the story? Was there an inventor behind it? Who crafted that product? I love what you're saying. Let's go into some like different, let's get a little tactical, if you will. Okay. We talked about like press releases, blogs, you know, when you're working with your clients, Sharon, so you come in, you kind of diagnose, you get that story out of them. Now, how do you approach that? How do you tackle it as far as like, where should they get that story? Where should they be putting their messaging?
Well, first of all, I already have my little, and I call Rolodex, and I don't know if that, you know, that ages me or whatever, but I have a Rolodex of.
We're with
I used the word the other day and someone didn't know what it was.
Yeah, they're like,
what's that?
Like, what's a Rolodex?
Yeah. We're with it.
You know, it's funny. I said Rolodex to my son. My son is 24, and he was like, a Rolex? And I was like, no, a Rolodex. Like, I was like, you know what? Forget it.
Yeah, never.
So I actually have a list of media contacts that I built great relationships with. So I go down the line to see, okay, who does this client literally I can connect with that I can actually pitch to this journalist or to this, you know, show, to this executive producer that fits their clientele. So that's my first thought that I start working on. Then I tell them, make a media hit list. Once you make a media hit list, we can then identify, okay, once we start from here, we always start local. I don't put somebody out on a national platform because especially if you don't have any type of interview skills, I'm not going to put you on a national platform and then you botch up. Now, I always do a PR coaching and training with each one of my clients. So, you know, they're not going to botch up. But if you're not ready for a major platform, because sometimes they don't go according to talking points. So they just may go off of, okay, what's going on national? Give us your opinion. Give us this. You're not ready. So we always start local. You start in your backyard. And that's how we work. We start in the backyard. Now, I don't just do media. I also do networking events. I'm like, give me a hit list of different organizations in your area or online that would fit your actual industry. And so we deal with networking events, speaking engagements. Once I feel confident that you can actually articulate in doing presentations, we're now going to line you up in doing some presentations, some speaking engagements. So you have to have a different techniques in building out your brand exposure. Media is not always going to be the main one. So again, it takes a while for some media platforms to pick you up. You see, prime example, a whole year, and you know, one of my clients got picked up. So until I get a media platform to say, hey, yes, I can, you know, this is a great fit, I'm using other techniques. So it's you know, it's writing, you know, so utilizing your social media, it's big, it's huge. That's where media goes to find their content. You know, speaking engagements, presentations, networking events. I'll tell them, I said, if you are scared of networking, then you better be unscared. Yeah. Because any business that is scared to go and talk to other businesses, and just creating a relationship with someone, because you may not have that relationship with that particular person you're talking with, but they may know somebody who can utilize your services. If you're going to be scared to do that, then get out of business. So, you know, it's different techniques than what I use for them. So like I said, you know, I tell people, I said, when I'm actually talking to you and I'm having this conversation, and if I stop, that means I lost interest. So, you know, just pretty much say, you know what, Sharon's not interested. She's not going to work with me. But if I continue talking and I'm giving you these nuggets and I'm saying, listen, you have to do this. This is a good opportunity for you. I love networking. I love going to networking events because you meet so many different people. You meet, you know, from all walks of life. I met someone in Hawaii. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like she's invited me. She was like, Sharon, you have to come to Hawaii. I was like, well, now I am, because I know somebody. Yeah. But different techniques should always be used when you are building out your brand exposure, not just media, because media is the longest one that would be able to pick you up.
Yeah.
I'm totally losing track of time because this is just so good right now, Dave. So all right, hit list. So like in each bucket, you're just dropping like a major bomb right there. So this when you rewind this, guys, and you listen to Sharon again on that one, come up with your hit list. So again, for our manufacturers out there, you know, local media. Boy, shine a bright light on one of your employees, or maybe a new piece of machinery or new client or whatever. Yeah. Hit the trade associations. You know, it doesn't have to be major. So again, you know, you can take these in baby steps. I absolutely love what you're talking about here, Sharon. Now, Sharon, we've talked about your webinar. We've talked about your expertise. You have an incredible networking group that you founded, right? Ladies of Third Thursday. Do I have that correct? Ladies of Third Thursday.
Nice.
I'd love please enlighten everybody. What has that done for you personally? What has it done for your business? And talk about like the community that you've created by starting this group.
So I'll be honest with you. The reason why I started that is because when I got laid off, my whole network was city agencies, not-for-profits, law enforcement. They were really my target audience for my business. I had to create something. And I went to a lot of networking events. And there was one particular networking event I always went to. And the guy always said, if you don't like how my network event is going, create your own.
Create your own.
And I said, oh, I could do that. And so I got a couple of girlfriends and I said, hey, I'm looking to put this type of networking event together. We just want to connect. We just want to network, see how we could build ourselves out, see how we could do some business with each other. And I always did it at a small business restaurant in the community. So we were giving them on their slow night, we were giving them business. So one restaurant was like, hey, I would love to do that. You're going to bring business in on my slowest night? Absolutely. So I started it off the first night. It was on the third Thursday in 2015. Never forget it, in February.
Nice.
And it was snowing. And I was like, ain't nobody coming. I had 25 women show up. 25 women showed up, buying drinks, buying food, networking. They introduced themselves. They walked away. And it was like, I was like, oh, shoot, I got something here. So the next month, which was Women's History Month. And when I worked for the DA's office, every March, we highlighted 31 community women. And we did an award for them and everything. And I loved that concept. So I said, because we just started in February, that March, that was the concept of I wanted to do. So the following year, every third Thursday, we had a networking event. We met at restaurants. People were calling me saying, hey, can you come to our restaurant to do your networking event? And like I said, it was literally because I needed to get a community of business people to actually that was looking to do business with other entrepreneurs. And that's how that started. So the community grew and grew and grew. And then as I was going through it, I was realizing that some people didn't know how to network. Some people didn't know, they didn't have a business plan. They had a business. They didn't have a business plan. They didn't have an EIN number. They didn't have a bank account. I was like, you can't do business like this. So I realized there were certain resources that we had to put in place for businesses to actually really do serious business. And that was where we started going to. And then the pandemic hit. So we kind of went virtual again. I'm not a virtual person. So we've done a lot of things in partnerships. And I'm actually relaunching it back in June because I've been dealing with a lot of the network. And they're just like, Sharon, I'm ready. I'm ready. There were people that wasn't ready. And I always say timing is everything. But, people are ready. People are ready to do serious business. People are ready to learn how to network. The people are just ready. And that was the whole purpose of me setting up Ladies of Third Thursday. It was literally just for me to get some business connections. And then it just grew into, something massive, which I'm so excited about.
Nice. And what did that do for your business?
You want to know something? It did a lot for my business because it put me on a plateau where people saw me as the go-to person. People saw me as that marketing person because I was the marketing person for it. I was putting it out there. Any of our special events, I had the press there. And every event, one of my media partners would be at that event and people will literally get an interview. So I had women that was part of my team. And one was a media, she did interviews. So she did all the interviews at the event. I had someone else that did life insurance and business insurance. So, I had key plugins that people needed immediately. I had someone that did business plans. So all of this, and then I added on attorneys. So it was all of these parts that I added on because I saw that it was missing from businesses. So it put my business in a position where people were like, I need to go to Sharon because I need to build out my brand exposure, because that's what you were doing at my event. You were building out your brand exposure at that point.
It's all about trust. Awesome. And we have some great comments here. So Dan Bigger is, one of the best networkers in the manufacturing world. So he knows us. But, so for folks that are shy, introverted, that is challenging. Sharon, you're just such a captivating speaker and extrovert. And like your husband said this morning, you're very assertive. So it comes naturally to you. So for other folks, not so much. But look what it did for you. Just to kind of recap that. You took leadership. You established trust. You brought business to people. You created a network. You became the go-to. So guys, if you're out there and like you're new in a business or what have you, take charge like Sharon did. She went to a networking event and the guy says, if you don't like it, start your own. And she raised her hand and did it. 25 people on the first night. That was 7 years ago. And boy, God bless you. What an absolute, what an inspiration you are. I'm going to slide into this and then we'll wind down because I am enjoying this.
Yes. So I'm enjoying it too.
I knew this was going to be so good. We preach a lot about women in manufacturing, diversity in manufacturing. Could you enlighten folks? So say if there's manufacturers out there and they're like, boy, how can I create a more dynamic, diverse workplace? Any tips, ideas, suggestions for manufacturers out there and how they could create a dynamic, get more women involved, create a more diverse workforce? Any tips and suggestions for our crowd out there?
Well, I know definitely there are women organizations in every single industry. So like, for instance, construction, there is a female construction organization.
Yeah.
Start Googling, female, if it's, I don't know. Give me an example of some of your
the great
women in manufacturing is huge.
There's women in
manufacturing.
Yeah, there's women in molded manufacturing. Women in, I've been seeing more and more. So you are spot on, Sharon. Absolutely.
Yes, there are women organizations for every single industry. I came across a young lady. She has her own business and it's in rubbish pickup. So she's in the garbage industry privately.
Yeah.
And and her whole team are all women.
Right.
Her whole team is all women.
Nice.
So women are out there. Google it, reach out to them, look for the different organizations or groups. Facebook, you have a host of them. All you got to do is just look into it. And once you have an interest, reach out to them and say, hey, you know what? I'm looking to have a conversation with you. I'm looking to bring on more women. I'm looking to bring on more quality businesses, diverse businesses to my business. And would you be open to having a conversation? And that's it. The worst they can say is no. The best thing that they can say is absolutely. Let's have a conversation. Because who's going to turn down an opportunity? Yeah. No one is going to turn down an opportunity. So definitely do your research. Tap into those groups, tap into those organizations. You got some that are national and some that are local. And, if you get to the national one, that's an A+ at that point, because once you get the national, now you got all the chapters.
Yeah, that was, oh my God, that was fantastic. Excellent advice, guys. All right, Sharon. So we'll wind down on this. So phenomenal conversation today. Great tips, great suggestions, guys. Relatable. Get your hit list together, right? Be your own biggest cheerleader. Absolutely love that. Boy, that was a game changer.
That is.
Webinar on June 8th at 7:00 Eastern time. And Sharon, can they go to your website? Where can they find the webinar?
They can actually go to my website, which is netstruckpr.com. And that's NETSTRUCPR.com. And you'll see the mastermind link, and you just click on it and you can register, and it's free.
Totally free, man. You want to get more of Sharon, and man, hang on, I got to get my screen back here. Okay. So, all right. Last question for you, Sharon. Okay. Husband of 27 years, three young men in your life, 3 boys. My question to you is, this man, you were like giving me chills, Damon. Were you just getting chills?
Yeah.
Like, this was just you are such a captivating speaker, so motivating, so inspirational. Your life journey, your folks, your dad being an entrepreneur when you were young, your transition from criminal justice into entrepreneurship, all the entrepreneurs that you help, so on and so forth. My question to you, who inspires you? Who inspires you today to have this relentless drive? You're so innovative, creative. Who's your inspiration?
I have to say my kids.
Your kids?
Family. Yeah. I'm leaving a legacy for my son. So
nice.
3 sons. Our oldest son has my husband's trait. My middle son, that's my twin. He can talk. He got the personality of he can talk someone that's in the desert that they can buy sand. I mean, that's how charming he is. And then our last son, he has the combination of all 3 of us. Yep. But I'm looking to really build this out. And they're fascinated when they come to my events, because this is a family affair. Like, my husband is my videographer and photographer. So, we're doing events. He's there. So we bring all of them, whether they're kicking the screen or whether they're happy. But
awesome.
They are my inspiration, because when I see them at an event, and I'm doing an event and they're standing there, and then I hear them talking to their friends about it, because a lot of their friends want to go into entrepreneurship. Both our 2 oldest have their own business. When I see the sparkle in their eyes when they're like, my mom does that. Like, you need to talk to my mom. Like, I can't tell you everything what she does, but you need to talk to my mom. And that drives me. That really drives me. My husband, he sits there and he was like, I don't have half the network of what you have. He said, but I truly am like just so excited and just so happy. And he is like my biggest cheerleader. Like he will be in my corner when I'm just like, I'm done. I can't do this. And he's like, are you crazy? And then he'll bring up all the stuff in the past of the stuff that he's like, I don't even know how you did that. And, you know, and change it. So my kids and my family, they are my inspiration. They are the ones that keeps me going.
Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and Sharon, your husband's name, please.
Derek.
Derek. So, hey, kudos to Derek, man. Does he have?
Yeah.
So he is one fortunate man, and you know, you mentioned you're deep in faith. God bless you. Thank you for sharing your inspiration, your motivation with us today, your energy, your expertise, great strategies for our crowd here. Whether you're catching it live today or down the road. Guys, please connect with Sharon on LinkedIn. Yeah. Check out her website. She has all sorts of incredible, helpful information, tips. You'll find videos. Sign up for her newsletter. I tell you, Sharon, I read your newsletter every time. I learn something new. I find you so inspiring. You know, iron sharpens iron, guys. And when you hang out with somebody like Sharon, you just feel and want to do that much better. So we will wind down on this. Sharon, thank you for sharing your time with us today. You are blessed.
So much. You guys are amazing. I love this. Thank you so much. I have fun. I really have fun.
Man, you
awesome.
Damon, how do we do this?
We're just lucky,
man. How do we get to hang out with? Oh my goodness gracious!
I know.
So next week we have a great interview on Monday. Damon's taking out. We won't be here next Friday. So this was a good kind of leave on. This was a good one to wind down. So go out and spread your awesomeness with everybody you can this weekend. And so Damon, take it away, dude.
All right. Well, thanks, Kurt. Thanks so much, Sharon, for being here. And man, now I know who is going to help us get this guy's show right over here on network television.
Absolutely.
Let's think about this. You bet. Yes. It's going to be called Simply Kurt.
I love it.
If you looked at the post today about this, it's Simply Kurt. Just remember, everybody, listen, it's got
to be the bromance. Right.
Yeah. But seriously, folks, thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. We aren't going to be here next Friday, but just have a good holiday next weekend and enjoy yourselves. Be safe. But we'll be back after that. Man, we got a guest on Monday that's going to be awesome on Kurt's again, and we're just so blessed to be able to have awesome guests like Sharon come and they share their knowledge and passion, and it's so great to hear and just appreciate you so much.
Yep. Thank you. I appreciate you guys too. Thank you.
Yep.
We'll be out. Have a good one.